In this lesson, we're going to take a look at apply filters, add filter, and remove filter, the three primary functions you need to know about when working with filter hooks in WordPress. Wherever you see apply filters occur, we have a filter hook. Now, apply filters occurs all over the place in WordPress, so just about any piece of data or content that is displayed somewhere on the admin or front end area has a filter attached to it that will allow us to modify that data. We could even use apply filters in our own code to create our own filter hooks, and this is definitely something that plugin developers do. Apply filters is pretty simple. What we have is a first parameter that is the name of the filter. We could call this whatever we want, and usually you want to match it to the type of data that you're filtering. So the title, if you wanted to filter that, the filter name is the title. And the content, if you wanted to filter that data, it would be called the content. So followed by the filter name, we have what it is that we want to be filtered, and you'll pass that in, and then that becomes available inside of any function that hooks into it. This is also the data that has to be returned at the end. And we could see here at the very beginning of this line that we're taking the apply filters value, so it's going to return a value and then saving that as a variable. And this is the most common application you'll see, that we run apply filters and then save whatever it returns back as a variable. Now the last value here is any argument that you want to pass in, and you can pass a number of them. I only have one listed here, but you could pass multiple, and that works the same as do action, and we'll take a look at that in practice in a moment. So let's look at a practical example here. Let's say that in our header.php file, we were going to display a welcome message. And we escaped that message and we made it localizable or translatable, and we saved it as a value default message. However, we wanted to give plugin developers or maybe people creating child themes the ability to modify this message. So what we're going to do is we're going to run apply filters and then save whatever might be hooked into it back as message. Then in our actual code, we would display the value of that filter data rather than our default message. So WordPress takes this practice a lot. It will, for example, create or pull out whatever the title value is. However, before it sends it off to the admin area or to the front end, it will pass it through apply filters so that WordPress itself or theme or plugin developers can modify that data in some way. And then wherever it is displaying that data out on the site, it's displaying it as the save value from apply filters. Just like we see here in this example where we're echoing out the message, not the default message. When it comes to hooking into apply filters, we use add filter. This is very similar to add action in that it takes three parameters: the name of the filter we want to hook into, the callback function that we want to use to modify that data, and then the priority. By default, priority you do not need to set. It will be set to 10 for you, but it is a good idea to be specific when you're programming. So looking at add filter in action, if we in our header were applying a filter to a default message and saving that value as message, and then we'll just assume somewhere in our header that that message is displayed out. Inside of our functions.php file, or in a plugin file, which we'll learn about later, we can add a filter to that welcome message and pass that default data through our own function that we're calling here user welcome, and we're setting a priority of 100. So we're setting a priority of 100, which means that the default priority is 10. So all of the default priorities that happen or filters that happen on the welcome message hook, ours is going to run later and it will override those. So if you're ever filtering data and it seems to not be what you think it is, you might want to check what other functions are hooked in at a higher priority. Then in our user welcome message, we could see that we're getting two parameters, message and user. And if we look back at the apply filters at the top, you could see that somewhere in our header code, we were getting the value of the current logged in user and saving it as a variable called user and passing that into our apply filters. This is great because it allows us to get some context about other information on the page or wherever this apply filter is being executed. It also lets us create a new message combining the original message here down inside our user welcome function, and we're combining that original message and concatenating a space and then using the user first name followed by an exclamation point. This means that if someone's logged in and we have that custom user, they're going to be getting a custom welcome message. Then the most important part of working with filters is we have to return that data back. So the last line in our user welcome function will return that new message, and that new message will be passed through the filters, saved as message in the header, and then whenever anybody uses message, it will display our custom message unless anything at a higher priority overrides it. The last function to look at here is remove filter. This works the same way as add filter in that we pass in the filter name, the callback function, and the priority specifying which one exactly it is. Remove filter in action would look something like this. We take the same line as add filter and change it to remove filter, making sure that the function callback name and the priority are all matching. There may come a time in your WordPress development when you need to unhook some of your own filters in certain circumstances, or you have third-party functions that are hooking into filters and doing things you don't want. Maybe they're doing something you do want and you just want to change the priority to happen sooner or later. All of these things are possible with combining add filter and remove filter. So now that we've looked at apply filters, add filter, and remove filter at a high level, let's dig deeper into the WordPress core and take a look at how WordPress itself uses these functions.